Chapter 1, Governance and Management of Information System. Okay, now let's see a new question. Governance dimensions. Okay, here I gave an example of Ratan Tata and Mukesh Ambani. Okay, you have to identify which businessman fits in which governance dimension. Okay, one businessman is focused on complying with statutory, regulatory, and compliance requirements. Okay, uh, he says that we must have strict internal control practices. Then he says that the chairman, CEO, they are supposed to have the responsibility and role of having governance in the organization. Okay, then they are also saying that we must have a dedicated mechanism like audit committee in the organization. Then we must also implement clause 49 of the listing agreement and the provisions of SOX. What is SOX? Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Okay, so the businessman who is focusing on compliance with the regulatory requirements is said to be following the conformance dimension or corporate governance dimension. Okay, now another businessman. The another businessman is focusing on profitability or creating shareholders wealth. Okay, he understands the risk appetite. Okay, he understands the risk to which the organization is exposed. He is reducing that risk or at the same time taking more risk. Okay, in these cases, he is implementing balanced scorecards so that not just quantitative factors are concerned, but also qualitative factors are considered. And like in conformance dimension, we have a dedicated mechanism called audit committee, but in performance dimension, we do not have such a dedicated mechanism. Okay, so from the description, you can understand that in the first dimension, we were talking about focusing on only compliance with the regulatory requirements and following the Companies Act requirements. Okay, but in the second dimension, we were talking about strategy and value creation, that is focusing on profitability, but we were not focusing on compliance with regulatory requirements. Okay, now if you are doing business, you need to make sure that you have a balance between these two dimensions. You must also focus on regulatory requirements, but not at the cost of shareholders' interest. Okay. Now, why we are learning these dimensions? So that you can categorize a business as whether it is following conformance dimension or performance dimension. If the business is following conformance dimension, you must say that the business must incline a bit towards performance dimension also. And if it is focusing more on performance dimension, you must say that it must incline a bit towards conformance dimension. Okay, so first understand the concept and then use it in your decision making. So this was a small question on governance dimensions. You are supposed to say that the approach of business should be balanced in case of these two dimensions, because if you focus on one dimension, it is not good for the company or the government as well. Okay, now let's see a list of terms. We are learning this because we are going to learn risk management today. That is why let's see these terms again. What is an asset? Okay, it is something valuable which is not easily replaceable. Okay, everyone has someone important, something valuable and all, which is not easily replaceable. I hope you can understand what is asset. After that, we have vulnerability. Now, what is a vulnerability? It is a weakness in the system. Okay. What happens is whenever, okay, someone had a question earlier, we didn't discuss it.
No, sir, continue, sir. I kind of got it. I think at the end of this class, I'll be able to catch it up.
So, vulnerability. Now, there is a threat agent. Okay. He knows the weakness in the system. What he will do is he will exploit the weakness and try to attack the system. Okay. But the problem is, even if we know the weakness in the system will not stop the threat agent. Okay, it will allow the threat agent to exploit because it is helpless. Okay, so if the threat agent knows the vulnerability and he attacks the system cannot do anything. Okay, system allows it to exploit. Okay, that kind of weakness we call vulnerability. If the system is not allowing the threat agent to attack, then it is not the vulnerability. Okay, where the system is allowing the threat to exploit, only that part we will call as a vulnerability. Okay, now what is this threat agent? Okay, who is this threat agent? He is an action, event, condition, entity with a potential to harm. Okay, so this can be deliberately done or this can be, not systematic. So action, event, condition, entity with potential to harm. After this, we have exposure. It is the extent of loss till the risk materializes. You, in a strategic financial management, you must have learned what is foreign exchange exposure. Okay. If you are entering into a forward contract or a futures contract, there is a certain foreign exchange exposure. It may result into loss or it may result into profit. It depends on how the foreign exchange rates move. Okay. So the amount of loss that you may incur due to unexpected change in foreign exchange, it is called as foreign exchange exposure. Okay. So that is the kind of exposure we are talking about. The amount of loss that you will incur if the risk materializes. Okay. What is risk? Risk is something bad will happen. Okay. Risk is something bad will happen. After that, we have likelihood. Okay. As we saw yesterday, that we will make a list of all the activities. We will differentiate those activities into critical activities and supporting activities. After that, we will write the causes. Okay, these causes are nothing but threat agents or causes. These can be actions, events, or conditions. Okay, with potential to harm. So after that, what we will write is we will write the probability of occurrence. Okay, what is the probability of them attacking the system? Okay, and after attacking, whether the system will shut down or not. Okay, so that is impact. Okay, that probability is nothing but likelihood, estimation of probability that the threat may succeed. Okay, we are talking about success ratio, not failure ratio. After that, we have attack. What is an attack? It is attempt to gain unauthorized access. Okay, if it is authorized access, it is not an attack. If it is unauthorized access, only then it is an attack. After that, we have risk. What is risk? It is a potential harm caused when threat exploits vulnerability. Okay, so there is asset. We have prepared a system to protect that asset, but the system has a vulnerability. The threat agent knows that vulnerability. He exploits that vulnerability. Okay, so the risk that the threat agent will exploit the vulnerability is called risk. Okay, if you want, you can also say that risk is a feeling that something bad is going to happen. Okay, after that, we have countermeasures. Now we know the vulnerability. What we will do is we will impose some controls, action, procedure, technique to reduce the vulnerability. Okay, we will either reduce the vulnerability or eliminate the vulnerability completely. Why? Because we want to reduce the risk or eliminate the risk. How we will do that? By implementing control, action, procedure, technique. Okay, but in some cases the risk may not be completely eliminated. Okay, it can be only reduced. So the remaining risk, that is called as residual risk. Okay, the remaining risk is called as residual risk. It is the risk remaining after countermeasure. Okay, it is the risk remaining after countermeasure. Let's move on now. Now we are talking about IT strategy planning. Okay, now if you want to integrate your IT with your business, you must have an IT strategy and a business strategy. Okay, we will prepare a business strategy. It will cover all the business functions, strategies. It will be a comprehensive strategy. Now, IT strategy will be only in relation to decision making in relation to IT. Now, what we have to do is we have to make sure that the IT strategy is in line with business strategy. It must not be the case that business strategy is talking about something else and IT strategy is talking about something else. Okay, both must have the same vision, the same mission. Okay, but different goals and objectives. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that both are strategically aligned. Now, how we will ensure that both the strategies are strategically aligned? That we will do using IT strategy planning. That is why we are learning what is IT strategy planning. Okay. Now let's see how this planning process is done. Okay, what are the elements in this planning process? Okay, this is the question. Planning process. Okay, how the planning process is done? Okay, first it must be dynamic to modify. Okay, we are changing the business processes as per the requirements of our environment. So if we want to make changes in business processes, we must also make our changes in IT strategy. So IT strategy must be dynamic. You must be able to change it almost every day or after every event. Okay, so it must be dynamic so that you can make changes to the strategy as the events occur or the events require. After that, we have long range and short range plans. Okay. So in IT strategy, we will have a long-term plan and a short-term plan. In long-term plan, we will talk about what the future environment must be, what we expect from the future environment, what are the requirements that we have to meet, and we will try to cut it down into short-term plans so that we can achieve it phase by phase. So what the planning process is saying that you must have a long-term goal and a short-term goal. Okay, instead of saying term, they have said range. Say long range plan and a short range plan. After that, the third point is regularly translated. What does this mean? This means that the long range plan that you have created, it must be capable of translating into short range plan. Okay, you have to convert it regularly to make sure that both are compatible. Okay. After that, we will reassess and amend as per the changes in the environment. We will see whether any technological changes are required, and as per that, we will reassess our IT strategy and amend our IT strategy. Okay. Now there must be consistency in plans. Okay. If you are making some expenditure for your short range plans, but it is not consistent with the long range plans, then you have to modify both the plans again to make sure that both are consistent. It must not be the case that we are cost saving in the long range plan, but we are making heavy investments in short range plan. Okay, both must be consistent, because in the third point we are saying that we are supposed to translate a long range plan into short range plan. And the last point is feasibility study. We will keep on evaluating as per our investments whether we will be able to achieve our short range plans and long range plans. Okay, we will conduct feasibility studies in this planning process so that we can have a overview of whether we will achieve the objectives or not. Okay, so in this planning process, we are just talking about the plans, what will be the types of plans, how they should be updated, amended, translated, feasibility study, and it should be dynamic. Okay, so the key word in this planning process is long range and short range plan. Remember these 6 points in relation to IT strategy planning process.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, can you explain again the reassessed amended?
Okay,
The
reassessed.
fourth one.
Okay. See, we are making changes to the business processes as per the changes in the technology that is required in the business. Okay. So we are making investments in business processes. What we will do is the long range plan and the short range plan, if they are not updated, we will make changes in the plans also. Why we need to do that? Because there is a strategy, IT strategy. We need to ensure that our plans are consistent with the strategy. So what we will do is we will update the strategy, we will update the plans. That is what we are saying. We will reassess everything and we will amend everything. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If we don't want to make any changes to the business processes, this reassessment and amendment is not required. Okay. There will be some trigger events that are forcing the organization to make these technological changes or changes to the business processes. Because of these triggers, we are making the reassessment and amendment. If these events are not triggering anything, then we will not make reassessment and amendment. After that, we have the key management practices for aligning IT strategy with enterprise strategy. Okay, this ITS is IT strategy and ES is enterprise strategy. So what are the management practices for aligning? Okay, we are focusing on aligning IT strategy with enterprise strategy. Why we need to align it? So that it might not be the case that IT strategy is talking about something else and business strategy is talking about something else. How we will do that? Let's see what are the key management practices. Okay, first one is understand the enterprise direction. Now, understand the enterprise direction means we will make assessment of what is the current status of the IT capabilities of the organization. Okay, we will make a list of all the IT technologies in the organization, their capabilities, their features, their advantages, and their limitations. Okay. After that, we will look at our vision and mission, what we want to achieve as an organization. And then again, we will make a list of the technologies you need, their advantages, limitations, capabilities. Okay, so that is what is your future IT environment. So you will make an assessment of current IT environment and future IT environment, and you will compare them to understand what all changes must be made by the organization. Okay, so that is what we will do in understanding enterprise direction. Okay, now we will make an assessment of current EPC. What is EPC? It is environment, performance, and capabilities. Okay, we will make a assessment in detail. We will make a list of activities, advantages, limitations, disadvantages, capabilities, and their performance. Okay, it will be just a list. Why we are doing this? So that we can get idea of our current IT infrastructure. Okay, use this term here, IT infrastructure, or you can say IT architecture. IT architecture. Then in the third point, we have define target IT capabilities. Okay, we will look at our vision and mission. We will say that we need these business processes. If we want these business processes, then we must make these changes to the technology. After that, we will make the list of technologies and their benefits. Okay, so that is what is basically defining your target IT capabilities. Okay, these headings, you have to write them as it is in the exam. Don't try to change the wording. Define target IT capabilities. After that, we will conduct a gap analysis. Why we are conducting gap analysis? So that we can understand what softwares we have to purchase, what hardwares we have to purchase, what facilities are required, what documentation is required. Okay, what technological changes we have to make. Okay, all this will be covered in gap analysis. Okay, for each heading, you are supposed to write only 2 to 3 sentences, 2 to 3 points, not more than that. Okay. Then we will define a strategy plan. Okay, now we have all the information after comparison, what is required or not, how we are going to implement that strategy and all. So we will define that strategy. What these are the changes that we have to make. These are the business processes we require. This is our vision. This is our mission. Okay, all this we will define in the strategy plan now. After defining it, what we will do is we'll communicate the IT strategy. To whom we will communicate this IT strategy? To all the concerned stakeholders. Okay. Why we are communicating? So that if there are any problems in alignment of IT strategy with enterprise strategy, we will know them at an earlier stage. That is why we are communicating it as soon as we prepare a strategy plan. Okay, so this was a small story that we compare ourselves with our future. We make a gap analysis, we prepare a strategy, and then we communicate the strategy. Okay.
Sir, I have a small doubt. Can you just repeat that planning process? Sir? I think
Okay, I will repeat the planning process. Okay, what you have to remember is we are just talking about what kind of plan we must have. What planning process is saying is that you must have a long range plan and a short range plan. Okay, what is long range plan? It is the duration is around 5 to 10 years. Okay, and short range plan are your yearly plans or quarterly plans that you have to achieve in relation to IT. Okay, now what we have to make sure is both these plans, they are consistent with each other. It should not be that in the long range plan we are making investment of 10 crores, but in the short range plan we are making expenditure of 1 crore per quarter. Okay, if we are making that kind of expenditure, obviously it is not consistent with the long range plan. So that is why we are saying that both must be consistent. The long range plan must be regularly translated into short range plan. Okay, it should not be the case that we have to keep updating long range plan as per short range plan. Okay, so we have to prepare short range plan as per the long range plan. Then as per the changes in the environment, we will make changes to these plans also. Why we need to make changes to these plans? Because we want to align our IT strategy with the business strategy. It will not align if these changes are not in line with the business, as the business requires the certain business processes to be changed. Okay, that is why we are updating again the IT plan. Okay, now these plans must be dynamic in nature. What does it mean dynamic in nature? That we must be able to change them again and again. as per the changes in the technology market, we must be able to change them accordingly. And feasibility study. Now we have the data in the short range, what all was the expenditure, what all was the investment. Okay, from that we will do the feasibility study, that whether we will be able to achieve our long range plan or not. Okay, we will try to forecast the achievement of objectives using short range plans, and we will see whether long range plans will be achieved or not. That is what is the feasibility study that we will do. Okay, so we have two plans. They must be consistent with each other. They must be regularly translated. They must be updated. They must be dynamic, and we will do feasibility study of both of the plans. Okay, that is all they are talking about in the planning process. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
If you want, I can give an example. Now, a real life example. Okay, you can link this IT strategy planning with your CA studies. Now, your long range plan must be that you must be able to revise the entire subject in 1 hour, 1 day before the exam. That must be your long range plan. Your short range plan must be every day you are learning or studying for minimum 8 hours, and you are making charts so that it will help you in revising the entire subject in 1 hour. Now, this is your long range plan and this is your short range plan. Now, if you are studying more than 8 hours, then obviously you will achieve your long range plan early. But if you don't, it means that you are postponing your long range plan. Okay. Now, if you have subjects like direct tax and indirect tax, there are amendments. As per that amendments, you have to again make changes to your long range plan and short range plan. Why? Because amendments require a different time. It requires a different efforts. It is not like we knew those amendments from the beginning itself. We have to update them in a strategy. Okay. We have to update them in a strategy. Okay. That is why we are saying that they must be consistent. Okay. Your long range plan and short range plan, they must be consistent. They must be regularly translated. They must be reassessed and amended. We must also make a feasibility study, and they must be dynamic in nature. Okay. It should not be that, okay, you are the one who is making the plans. Obviously, it must be dynamic. Okay. Now that only in the next question they have told the practices. Okay, we will look at our goal. We know what the requirements are. We will write down those requirements. We will try to achieve those requirements. We will prepare a strategy, and we will tell all the people in our environment that this is our goal. We want to achieve this. Please don't disturb us. Okay. Now, the next question is key metrics of value delivered. Okay. What is this key metrics of value delivered? This is how you will measure the status of your IT strategy. Okay. So first point is this ITEI. This means IT enabled investment. IT enabled investment. What we will do is we will make a list of IT investments. Then see, whenever you are making IT investment, first you make a chart that these are the benefits that we will receive if we invest in such IT. Then what we will do is we will compare those forecast and the actual benefits that we have realized. If it looks like we have realized more benefits, then it will be displayed in the third point as benefits exceeded or met. Then if you have realized the benefits, okay, then it will be displayed in the second point. And the fact that we are monitoring it, that is what our we must be able to monitor it. If we have the list, if we have the data, and we know how to make calculations, that is what means that we are able to monitor it. Okay, so you must be able to monitor these investments. We must be able also to monitor whether the benefits have realized, whether the benefits have exceeded. Okay, so ITEI is IT enabled investment, and ITS is IT services. After that, ITS now defined costs and benefits. We will see which IT services we have clear approval and we have clearly defined that these are the costs for the investments and these are the benefits of the investments. Why we are saying this? It must not be the case that we don't have the cost data for the investment. We must have that. It must be approved and clearly defined. If it is not clearly approved and defined, in future we will not make investments in such services. Okay, that is what we are saying, that all the IT services, the costs must be authorized, clearly approved and defined. If it is the case, only then we will invest in the same. If we don't have that data, then we will not invest in the same. And the last point is SS is satisfaction survey of stakeholders. Okay, satisfaction survey of stakeholders in relation to transparency and accuracy of IT financial statements. Okay, transparency and accuracy of IT financial statements. Okay, this IT information we are giving it to the stakeholders. We'll take a feedback from them that whether you are satisfied with or not. Okay, that satisfaction survey will tell you whether the IT has realized the benefits or not, and whether the stakeholders are happy with it or not. Okay, if the stakeholders want that there must be some changes in the information that is being displayed, okay, there must be more transparency, more accuracy, the same will be written in that satisfaction survey. Okay, so if we want to measure whether the IT has delivered value to the organization or not, we will use these key metrics. Okay, what are the content of these key metrics? IT enabled investments, whether we are able to monitor the benefits or not, whether the benefits are being realized or not, whether the benefits have exceeded or not, then whether they are clearly defined and approved, the benefits and costs are clearly defined and approved, and whether the satisfaction survey is being conducted or not of stakeholders to ensure transparency and accuracy of IT financial statement, or you can write IT and financial information. Yes, we will stop this session in 5 minutes. If you have any queries, you can ask now. We will restart the session in 5 minutes.
Sir, can you please explain once again that third define target IT capability in KMP?
Which, this one?
Yes, sir.
Define target IT capabilities.
Yes.
See, earlier the organization had only one branch. Okay, but now as the product has become popular, the organization is thinking about opening 117 branches. Okay. So unless and until you install IT in all those branches, we will not be able to maintain IT strategy, or we will not be able to align the IT strategy with enterprise strategy. Okay, so what we will do is we will make a list of all the branches. What will be the IT requirements of each and every branch? Okay, if you have read the governance of enterprise IT, what it is saying is, it is saying that we are trying to install IT everywhere in the organization to ensure what? To ensure that all the compliance requirements are met and it will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. Okay, so that is why we will make a list of all the branches. We will make a list of all the IT infrastructure which is required, the security protocol that is required, then the controls that are required. Okay, we will make a list of that. That is nothing but we are defining what are the target IT capabilities. Okay, our target is that we must have IT in these 117 branches. It must be to this level. It must be able to comply with these requirements and all. Okay, and it must have all these business processes. Okay, have you understood?
Okay, sir. Okay.
See, everything is connected in ISCA. You can take one example and analyze the entire chapter 8, or you can have one example for every question. Once you understand the question, you can do anything with it, but please make sure you understand it. Okay, we will stop here and then we will continue with business value from IT. Okay. We'll take a break of 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. After the break, can I ask you one small question, sir?
Yes, yes. Immediately you can ask. Okay, now also you can ask. We have a minute.
Okay, sir. My question is simple, sir. We were talking about last class. We were talking about IT governance and GIT, right, sir?
Yes. IT governance.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
In that, I have one small doubt, sir. What I understood was IT governance is something like governance plus IT. We just
Yes.
implemented where everyone is. And GIT is something you implement IT in the organization. Am I right, sir?
In all the areas of organization.
In all the areas of the organization. Am I right, sir?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay, now my doubt is, sir, then how does this question of governance practices of GIT, that is evaluate, direct, and monitor, connected to GIT and not IT governance?
Okay. Yes, I will. We will take that question in the next this. Okay. All the time.
Yes, sir. Okay.